Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Here the UFO files, the never-before-seen images just made public. The Pentagon releasing the first wave, dozens of videos going back decades, showing mystery sightings in the skies over the U.S. Even American astronauts and what they reported seeing from the surface of the moon. Here's Jay O'Brien tonight.
Tonight, extraterrestrial enthusiasts of all kinds are poring over unexplained videos, photos, and reports released today by the Pentagon on the order of President Trump. More than 160 files, sightings of unknown flying objects, some made public for the first time, officially called Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, or UAPs, better known as UFOs. This infrared video taken by the U.S. military somewhere in the Middle East in 2013, appearing to show a star-shaped object leaving behind a trail in the sky. This one showing a white dot seen darting through a wind farm. Another flying fast west to east, spotted by U.S. Central Command over rooftops in Iraq. Also in the files, audio of Gemini 7 astronaut Frank Borman detailing a sighting of an unidentified object during the 1965 mission, calling it a bogey.
So we have a bogey at 10 o'clock time. So we have several, looks like debris up here, actual sighting.
Apollo 17 astronauts taking this photo on the moon, showing 3 dots in a triangular formation, the crew describing very bright particles of light rotating way out in the distance. President Trump, who after prodding from congressional Republicans declassified the files, touting complete and maximum transparency, writing it's up to the public to decide for themselves what the hell is going on.
And David, the government touted these files as never before seen, but some of them had been public in the past. The military, though, acknowledges that many are unresolved. They cannot be explained. And tonight, the Pentagon is promising more releases of files to come. David.
A lot of interest for sure. Jay O'Brien, thank you.
This has been one of the most frustratingly insignificant document dumps I've ever seen in my entire life. They're literally giving us 40 or 50-year-old video clips where someone was filming the clouds and you can't see anything. That's the same nonsense that we see people posting to Facebook and YouTube. They talk about releasing these documents like they're fixing to give us some video footage of them dissecting a gray or something from the 70s. And we all know the only reason that they're even releasing any of this stuff is because they want our attention focused on that instead of something else. But it's not working, because what's hilarious about all of this is I've talked to several people since this document dump happened who are not even aware that the government's done this. Here's a little advice for the federal government. It's not going to be very effective if you spend more than half a century telling your entire population that they're all ignorant and there is no such thing as a UFO or an alien. All of your theories about Roswell are all wrong. All of your theories about Area 51 are all wrong. And then after doing that, anyone who comes forward and says, that's incorrect, I'm actually an eyewitness, you completely destroyed their credibility. You ruined not only their lives, but the lives of those that they were close to. And now you want to come out and say, sorry we lied to you for over 70 years, but now we're going to tell you the truth. That's not going to be a very effective plan unless when you tell us you're going to release all these documents with evidence in it, you actually release evidence. But there's no new information coming out from these documents. They released them hoping they would be a distraction, hoping they would divert our attention, and it didn't work. People may be looking at it, but it's not where their focus is.
Guys, they have officially started releasing the UFO files. The Pentagon, the FBI, NASA, and the State Department just dropped 162 classified documents, and some of them are insane. Some of these files are photos and audio from the Apollo 12 and the Apollo 17 missions taken from the moon while astronauts were standing on it. They show lights in the sky that the crew could not explain, and one of them said that it looked like the 4th of July up there. Their best explanation for what was going on is that it was ice or paint from the rocket, but they literally said that that was a wild guess. Dude, these are files from the Apollo missions. They saw lights in the sky while they were walking on the moon. Holy shit. 108 of the files actually still have redactions, but the Pentagon basically just said to make up your own minds. Yeah. But this right here is just the first batch, and trust me, I'm gonna have more updates soon. And people are taking this so seriously seriously right now that on Kalshi right now, millions of dollars are betting on whether the fact the government is going to confirm that aliens exist before 2027. I am going to be here every single time that new files drop, and trust me, there is going to be more coming soon, so make sure you add me now so you don't miss it.
Is it not odd to anyone else that some of those photos that were supposedly taken from the surface of the moon, you can see the lights that they're looking at, but you can also see the stars behind them. And they've told us multiple times that when you're standing on the surface of the moon taking pictures, you can't see the stars. They claim that it's an exposure issue and it's too bright for them to properly expose to be able to pick up the moon and the stars in the background simultaneously. But they just gave us a photo that's showing someone supposedly standing on the surface of the moon taking a photo with stars in the background. So either one of those photos are fake or both of those photos are fake. But either way, NASA is lying to us. And if you're thinking that there's just absolutely no way that the federal government would release all of these files and intentionally put a fake photo in amongst them, it has actually been determined that one of the photos that's going around that the government supposedly released in this document dump, one of the photos is supposedly a still of an alien body. But then some people started digging around and did a reverse image search on that photo and discovered that it's existed on the internet for over 10 years. It's literally a photo of a fake alien from a newspaper article. That's where they got the photo from. And in the photo, it shows their fake alien. Now, I doubt anyone will ever be able to figure out why someone would do something this ignorant. But supposedly, the government took that photo off of a newspaper article, heavily edited it, and then mixed it in amongst this document dump. I'm starting to question if the federal government understands what the word transparent actually means.
I just figured out why we're no longer using pennies, and it's happened to me twice in the last 2 days, so now I'm going to tell you about it. Earlier this year, I believe it was announced that copper was too expensive, that making pennies was too expensive, so we were no longer going to be making pennies, which I thought was just weird to begin with, but now I'm understanding why. Just went through the drive-thru to get some lunch, and my total was $12.14. I pull up to the window to pay. I give the girl my $20.14, and she goes, "Oh, actually, with the cash charge, it's going to be $12.15 because we're no longer taking pennies." I'm being penalized for using cash. Cash used to be an incentive. You used to avoid credit card fees, and they would give you a little bit cheaper price for cash. It's just a big money grab. They just seem like 1 penny, but if every car in that line is paying 1 to 2 pennies over what they should be, that is a huge amount of money. The government is going to eventually make cash obsolete because they want to know every single bit of your money, where it's moving, how it's coming in, where it's going out. They want to be able to tax every single cent that they can get their hands on. Nobody cares if the pennies are made out of copper. Make them out of recycled bottles. Make them out of the huge amounts of plastic that are in the landfills. Is that even legal to upcharge people who are paying with pennies? It's disgusting.
I'm actually going to pull this up and do some calculations. So first, let's check and see how many people on average go through a Taco Bell drive-thru in a day. What is the average number of patrons to location? Okay, so from what I'm reading online, it's saying that the typical Taco Bell drive-thru likely serves between 500 to 1,200 vehicles per day through their drive-thru, depending, of course, on the particular location. So if we pull out our calculator and we actually do the math on that and say, we'll use conservative numbers and we'll just say 500 times, we'll say on an average 2 pennies. It's going to give us $10 a day. So then if you calculate $10 per day times 365, that gives us $3,650 on average that a fast food place is robbing from their patrons, from their customers, just simply because they're refusing to take exact change. And now, let's look and see how many Taco Bells there are in the United States. All right, as of 2026, there are approximately 8,200 Taco Bells in the United States. So if we take our $3,650 per year per Taco Bell location, and then we multiply that by 8,200, that means that Taco Bell is just casually taking an extra $29,930,000 a year from their customers by not accepting pennies. That's if each Taco Bell location is doing this. That's if this is happening at Taco Bell specifically. But this is likely going to become a trend at every fast food location. And who eats at most of these fast food places? Low-income earners. So that extra $29 million a year, that's just a couple pennies here and there, coming out of the pockets of people who need those extra pennies.
I just want to let everybody know that amidst what all is already going on in the world, if you check the worldwide news, hundreds of thousands of acres surrounding the Chernobyl nuclear power plant are currently on fire. And the radiation levels are rising, and the fire is picking up the dust, the radioactive dust that fell years and years ago, and putting it into the atmosphere, and it has now reached Poland. And they have no other way to contain fire without completely irradiating everybody that steps within the woods, because as we all know, walking around Chernobyl itself is fine, but in the dirt and dust on the woods, on the floor of the woods, around in the surrounding forest is still highly contaminated, and you almost cannot go there. It's pretty much a death warrant. And those woods are currently on fire, and I'm not talking like a little fire we had in South Georgia the other day. No, I'm talking about like 3/4 of California is on fire type of fire. And they're trying to figure out how they're going to contain it, but right now they can't, and it's just pouring lethal amounts of radiation and radioactive debris into the air. So figured I'd just give that to you on your Friday.
When I first heard this, because this is the only person that I've even come across who's talking about this issue, but when I first heard it, I thought this was fear-mongering. This guy's clearly making this up. This would be all over the news if this was really happening. But it is really happening, and I haven't seen a single news report talking about it. Of course, I say that as someone who doesn't really watch the news, but I see headlines. I do see what's being reported on, I just don't watch it. See, I'm actually going to look up and see if that thing is still on fire. Alright, so it says that there are over 1,200 hectares of land that are on fire right now. So if you put that into a calculator and convert it, 1,200 hectares is the equivalent of 2,965 acres. So they've got about 3,000 acres of land on fire, some of which is highly contaminated with radiation. And the only information you can find about how they're attempting to put this out is that the efforts are still ongoing. It kind of looks to me like, from everything I'm reading, that their game plan is to try to not let it spread any further and just let it burn till there's nothing left in the area that's on fire to continue fueling it. That may actually be the safest option. But according to officials, they are making the claim that they are keeping a close eye on the radiation levels, and everything as of right now is still within an acceptable window. But let's be honest, if this radiation was about to just blanket an entire country and cook everybody, would they really tell us about it? They probably wouldn't even tell us what happened to those people until 10 years later, when they come out with some, oops, we missed it. The most likely scenario, they wouldn't say a word. They'd let that entire country's population eat dirt, and then 30 years later, we still wouldn't have actual confirmation about what happened.
Y'all, this video is weird. So, security guards on a very large chunk of private property noticed a light going down a road next to the property. So they go to the security monitors and they film this. A large ball of light is floating down this road, dropping smaller balls of light. And as it continues down this road, you start to see what looks like an apparition carrying this ball of light. The apparition fades in and out, and then they notice on another security feed that there is a little girl walking around the back of the property. Now, the owner of this property is saying that they believe that this is some sort of spirit, following the spirit of the little girl, possibly even guiding the spirit of the little girl. Now, I can't say for sure if I know if that's what this is, but either or, it's pretty strange, especially where you can see an apparition holding this orb. I don't know, there's a lot going on. I mean, this is walking down one road, the light is coming down the other. What do you guys think is going on here? let me know.
It's frustrating not having more details to go off of to try to rationalize what we're looking at here, because I can't think of anything that could be responsible for creating footage that looks that way. I'm going to say that I'm leaning more heavily toward this is something that someone has created and intentionally made the footage look this blurry and bad so that we can't tell what we're looking at. And maybe if I had never seen this before, I may look at it and think that it's some sort of a natural or even a paranormal occurrence. But does this not look identical to what it looks like whenever they're pointing their wands at streetlights in the Harry Potter movies? Where they're walking down the street and they need the lights to be out so that they're not spotted, so they just point their wand at it and the light literally leaves the street lamp and enters their wand. But the appearance of that light whenever it leaves the wand and goes to the street lamp or back the other direction looks exactly like what we're looking at here. So that makes me think that this was something someone created, and that's where they got the idea for what this should look like. What do y'all think? But maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe this is a completely natural occurring phenomenon, or maybe it is something paranormal, and whoever created that imagery for the Harry Potter movies happened to experience this in real life, and that's where they got the idea for creating that. Maybe they were copying this.
I actually have a really cool video for you today, and this is coming out of Egypt, captured by dozens of witnesses on the beaches of Sidi Barnini around May 5th of 2026. A mysterious object washed ashore on their beaches, and it appears to be this massive, gigantic column, but they have no idea where it came from or from what it came from. It's also awesome to see how the past still has a grip on us, and it sometimes just pops up out of nowhere. Take a look at this video, comment below, tell us what you think.
I tried to find some more information on this, and you would think that you'd be able to find something because it gives the actual name of the beach in the video footage. But I can't find anything except for other people posting this same video. But apparently this just happened about 4 days ago. What's hilarious is people are trying to connect this to that Gerald the Dolphin story where the dolphin kidnapped an architect and made him build an underwater habitat for all of his dolphin buddies, something that took place in Florida in the United States. They're trying to connect it to this. But whatever this is, it looks to me like it was something that was being shipped. Maybe it fell out of a plane, fell off of a boat, something like that. It's got these, it looks like a frame or braces built around the outside edges of it to kind of square it off, which I'm assuming makes it easier to stack since it is a cylinder or a column. But if I had to guess, this is probably some column off of an ancient building that should have been left alone, and some rich person wanted it in their living room, so they were shipping it back to the United States and it fell off the boat. I think that's the most simple explanation and also probably the most likely. What do y'all think?
About your tinfoil hats because I want to talk about the hantavirus and something that I noticed about Jake the influencer, the person who initially posted the video aboard the ship when the hantavirus broke out. If you were like me, Jake's video was the first one that came across your feed and probably the first way that you heard about hantavirus. And I'm not accusing him of anything. This may have been a normal human response. I just want to talk about it because I haven't seen anybody talking about this yet. I had seen clips of that video, but I hadn't seen the original. So last night I went to Jake's profile page and I noticed that he had posted the video on Instagram 2 days ago. Instagram doesn't give the exact time, so we can assume April 4th or 5th. Video, he's discussing how scared he is, that he's a normal person with a family back home. Completely understandable. That video has 2,261 reposts. Understandable. It went viral. Got curious. I was like, how's Jake doing? So I started looking at his Instagram, and the first pinned post on his page announcing his partnership with Worldwide Expeditions, which is the company that is hosting or sponsoring the cruise where the hantavirus broke out. Now, this partnership was not properly disclosed as it should have been according to FTC guidelines. Putting an example of one of my previous paid partnerships on the screen so you can see what this is supposed to look like. The creator is paid by a company in order to promote a product. Let's just say Jake didn't feel like it, and we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He thought that he met all the FTC guidelines by outlining the rules of the giveaway by posting the following on his page on March 31st. You can identify the link between Worldwide Expeditions and the current outbreak if we just click on their profile. This is what it looks like currently, with the last 6 or 7 posts related to the current outbreak and updates on the case. I think it's safe to say that I've clearly established a link between this company that has now paid an influencer in order to post content aboard the ship. You could argue that this influencer then just experienced this hantavirus and decided to post content about it. Sure, until you consider the fact that Jake's videos were not doing well until this expedition. Let's take a look. While it is clear that Jake has been posting travel-adjacent content for well over a year, maybe possibly 2, if we go back to just last August, so less than a year ago, he wasn't doing that well. This reel, though shot beautifully, has 17 comments and 3 reposts. We skip forward to March 10th of this year. He has 10 comments and 8 reposts. And just so we're clear, as someone who works in influencer marketing, the engagement ratio that you should be looking at a post on a creator this size should be around 1%. So if Jake has 70,000 followers now, his like ratio should be about 700. That's on the very, very low end, but I digress. March 29th is when it gets weird because he posts a reel saying, POV, you're going on the biggest adventure of your life. 7 reposts, but you notice the comments are turned off now. We skip to March 31st when he announces the partnership and the giveaway. April, we have more posts with the comments turned off until we get to the one that Jake is known for, the one of him crying aboard the boat. And while I'm well aware that correlation does not equal causation, and that video could have just popped off because of the human emotion and the fear-mongering that it instilled in people, we want to ask the question of why would this company decide to partner with an influencer who had very few followers to begin with? It's possible, and this could all be a huge coincidence. I'm just saying this was not a normal person. This was a paid influencer aboard this boat who made this video. Could be way off. Like I said, I just want to talk about it. You know, if you think this is weird too.
I don't think you could be more suspicious than that. I don't know exactly who would need to investigate what's going on here, what this connection is really all about. But if that doesn't look about as suspicious as something can be. I've never run any ads on this YouTube channel, but I get constant emails from companies asking me, we saw your content, we think you'd be a great match to promote our product to your audience. I read these emails. I know what they're offering. I know what they're looking for. I know what kind of metrics they want to make sure you're going to hit before they're willing to do business with you. If this guy's social reach is that he's getting 10 likes on a post, he is not getting contacted by companies. He's not getting brand deals. He's not getting sponsorships. No one's watching his stuff. It makes 0 sense that a company would give this guy either a paycheck to promote their cruise ship or free room and board on one of their cruise ships to promote their cruise ship. Who's he promoting it to? No one's watching his videos. What they really needed was to find somebody who was legitimately a travel influencer. And they probably tried that at first, but they couldn't get anyone on board. But you find some guy who's been trying to make it for 2 years and he's made no progress. You approach him with an offer like that, he's going to be all over it. Not only that, not only is he finally getting that money, but now everybody's going to recognize his face. He's finally going to get that social recognition that he's been after for 2 years. Unfortunately, in the world that we live in, most people don't care what they're known for so long as they're known. If it's going to make someone famous, they will do some insane stuff. And I think we're seeing a great example of that right here.
This is going to be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. They don't actually need 40,000 square acre data centers for AI. And this whole lie that they're telling us that this is just to keep us competitive with China. And we know this for a fact because Anthropic's most advanced model, Claude 4.6 code, leaked out onto the internet. The actual code leaked onto the internet, and guys were able to take that code and put it out there for everybody to use. Open source. They even changed the code so that they couldn't get sued. And it is open source. And you can run that code. Anthropic's most advanced code can be run on your laptop, can be run on a Mac Mini. So why do they need these massive water and electrical guzzling data centers? It's not because they're running AI on them. It's because they're collecting information. All these flock cameras, all of this information collected every time you walk into a Walmart, all of this information every time you watch a video, every time you turn on your TV, all of your biometrics, all of everything about you. They are trying to create God's eye so that they listen to you, watch you, and even know what you're thinking, what you want to go do before you even go and do it, That way they can market it to you and they can keep an eye on you. Governments, corporations, that's what these data centers are for. This has nothing to do with AI. Nothing whatsoever. And if you buy the lie that this is to keep up with China, China is the model that they're trying to represent. China already has a surveillance state. They're trying to do the same thing.
There's no way for me to sit here and confirm this. If this is what they're doing, that information is going to be clearly hidden from us. We're not going to find the confirmation. But for me personally, I believe this. I think this has to be true, or at least something like this has to be true, because the numbers that they're giving us just don't make any sense. Let me give you an example. I'm going to look up and see how much water is used, AI, to answer one question. Alright, so this is saying that a single AI query can use, on average, about 16 ounces of water, which is about the size of your average bottle of drinking water. But if I can run this on my own personal laptop, and I don't have to use any water to cool that laptop off when I ask it a question, then what are they doing differently inside of that data center that creates all this heat? Do they expect us to believe that they're using worse equipment than what we're using at home? Because I'm sure that's not the case. I have a nice computer, but I'm betting they're using hardware that a guy like me wouldn't even be able to get access to if I wanted it. I'm sure it's all top of the line stuff. But the idea that AI simply answering some questions is going to create all this heat doesn't make a lot of sense. Really, the more you think about it, the less sense it makes. But I've heard this idea that these are actually supposed to be supplying support for like the deep underground military bases and underground cities and things like that, or at the very least some of these elitist bunkers. But I think out of all the ideas that I've heard, this makes by far the most sense. And I'm not going to sit here and promote anything illegal, but if anyone is interested in seeing the mentality of the citizens in the United States right now who are very, very fed up with this AI data center garbage, if you want to see what their ideas and plans are for how they plan to combat this stuff, I cannot suggest enough that you go find this guy on Facebook, find this specific video, and read the comment section. People are getting angry, and they've got some really interesting ideas on how they plan to get justice from those who have wronged them. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to drop a comment if you want to increase the odds of my next upload showing up in your YouTube feed. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.